All, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. No laptop tonight?
No, but one got fried, so Mike's using mine.
All right, good evening, everyone. The first item on the agenda is a presentation by TLC, preliminary final land development for 1906 to 1956 to 1966 West Main Street.
I looked at the agenda, we were last. Good evening, my name is Ed Hughes, I represent the applicant with regard to this project on West Main Street. It's the headquarters of TLC in the front and the car wash at the back. You'll recall the conditional use approval you gave us back in June. Went to the Planning Commission for the preliminary final land development. Got a recommendation of approval on that. Sean has circulated a resolution of approval. We reviewed that in great detail. We're okay with it, and we'll comply with all the review letters. We have a picture of the facade of what the building's going to look like. We submitted our standard operating procedure for what happens when the car wash is at capacity. So I think we're ready for a vote, unless you want to hear anything more specific.
No, I believe you went to the Planning Commission last month and you received their recommendation for approval. I believe the board was just requesting copies of your SOP for that. I believe landscaping was worked out with the member of the Planning Commission through that design. So I believe it's before the board at this point for your approval or tonight.
And there were several waiver requests that we were going back and forth with. Our engineer, Ed Brown, was going back and forth with Paul Hughes from Kimberly Horn. And we really did not have, I don't want to speak for Ed, but he had no problems with any of their waiver requests. He basically thought that they were reasonable.
Correct.
I think we submitted a waiver request letter, June 19th, 2023, number 4. We asked for a waiver from section 22-505.1, which I think Ed pointed out was incorrect. Citation should be 22-504.2.
Yep.
Otherwise, with that
Everything
amendment-
else was in line, yeah.
Does the board have any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, hi. I went over the SOP, and thank you for that. With respect to item number 2 with traffic control, the implication there is that somebody is going to be on site specifically for the purpose of kind of directing customers and traffic. So just, it's not explicitly stated, I just want to kind of hear it, that somebody is going to be there during all business hours to direct traffic and direct customers as needed.
Yeah, so that would just be if there's 3 people working at the car wash, it would be in their operating procedure. If traffic needed to be directed, they would walk out and do so as far as like if it's full, but normally people would just pull in like parking lot, they would follow and go through the car wash. When it's at normal capacity, there's no issues, they would just drive in. You would drive up, there would be people at the pay station to direct you if you had any questions, and then one person at the tunnel, and then just walking the vacuum area. So like it would, one of the 3-person crew could direct traffic if in the state of like, if something happened, is the idea.
Right. So I just, it just seemed, and I just want to kind of, I believe the answer is yes, but I just want to kind of, somebody will be there during all business hours to serve this function if
Yeah,
needed.
it's not one of those 24-hour where there's nobody there. There would be 2 to 3 people there at every, the whole time it's open. So, and they would all be trained to do what they had to do if the wash was full, if it broke down, or if it was at capacity. They would go into that SOP and then direct traffic, make it be closed, and kind of do what they would need to do. Yes.
Understood, thank you.
I think that we could take that SOP one more step, because there's a lot of municipalities, especially East Norriton has done it, and it would fall back on the police department. If they feel that it's causing a problem, okay, and their folks haven't shut it down, then we have the right to shut it down. I think we should write that in there. it could fall on the police department if it's not done by yours.
And I think Ed was going to add a few things that would, I think we're going to kind of speak to that same language as far as like.
Yeah, we had talked about that
We were
before.
letting you guys know, hey, it is full, if there would be something else you would want to do, whether it be, send a patrol just to block it off, but I think it's, for the amount of stacking, we don't foresee this, even with all of our car wash people that we've been dealing with, we don't see this ever being a problem, but if it is, we would make sure that it's shut down. We could even put it in there that we could notify the police department that we're closing it for its emergency shutdown or it's at capacity, then if they would want to make any further, recommendations on helping out with that, we'd be happy to do that too.
There are 200 car washes in the township, and we've never had a problem. Once in my 39 years, I've never seen it get backed up on the street.
And we have probably triple the stacking of any of those 2 other car washes in the township, so.
Yeah, I did prepare a slightly larger list of operating procedures, one of which would be, when it gets to a closure situation, we would call the police and tell them that we're at the closure situation, and call them.
I know we had discussed that in some of our meetings and stuff like that, so yeah.
And I believe the other 2 car washes, and correct me if I'm wrong, you enter right off the main road to the car wash lane. This one, we have probably a 200 or 300-foot driveway that you would pull into off the main road before you would even pull into the stacking, the 3 areas, the 3 lanes of stacking. So, I mean, yeah, I don't foresee it ever being a problem, knock on wood, but we want to make sure the right protocol's in place there, so, for sure.
It's just, that particular block is the most,
Absolutely, yeah, it's not, very busy street, so like I said, at least it's one step further that we have a 200 or 300-foot driveway off of Main Street before you would even back up into the stacking, so.
And Chief Kelly, you would provide them with your office number rather than send them through 911, right?
Yes, but you can call for non-emergency.
Yeah, you just need the non-emergency number.
We were looking for a cell number.
You still go to the county radio, because that's how the cars are logged, but it wouldn't come into 911.
Okay.
Any additional questions from the board?
No, I have none.
Hearing none, this will be listed as, I believe, new business. Item C would be the motion to adopt the resolution 23-1706, which is before you, which is the latest and greatest version that Mr. Kilkenny had prepared in conjunction with the applicant. All right. You'll be listed for approval.
Okay. So we should stick around, or?
It's up to you.
Do you get billed by the hour or the half hour? I mean, it all
I was going to
depends.
say I'm an hourly rate guy.
I mean, we can drag it out as long as you want, right? I mean, it's not a problem, but.
I did walk over. Took me a couple hours. Thanks.
Thank you.
Should we vote on that now? So they don't-
I think you gotta wait for public comment
You gotta wait for
first.
comment
Yeah,
before.
I mean, we can move it to the first item on their new business if you
All right,
want.
let's do
Yeah,
that.
okay.
Okay. All right, the next item on the agenda, approval of minutes. I took a look at them. I did not see anything that I needed to change. Anyone else?
No, I'll make a motion to approve them.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those are approved. Report of bills, Ms. Horn.
Good evening. Consider approval of general fund and golf club payroll checks in the amount of $48,117.62 and payroll vouchers in the amount of $561,193.46. Also consider approval of the payment approval report in the amount of $490,753.21.
Any questions for Ms. Horn? Could I get a motion to approve those?
So moved.
A second? All in favor?
Aye.
Those are approved. Public Safety, Chief Kelly.
Thank you, Commissioner. As of the end of June, we have received 6,233 calls for service, have investigated 234 accidents, have made 194 criminal arrests, issued 785 traffic citations on 1,216 vehicle stops, and have issued 92 parking tickets. For the month of June, we had 3 aggravated assaults, 2 burglaries, 24 thefts, 2 motor vehicle thefts, 3 simple assaults, 1 arson, 6 frauds, 7 criminal mischiefs, 2 narcotics arrests, 22 domestic disputes, 1 DUI, 24 disorderly conducts, 149 criminal investigations, 30 30 fire-related calls, lost missing persons 9, animal complaints 16, traffic accidents 42, public service 186, and assist other agency 33. Also, we have National Night coming up on August 1st, you know, so I think we're all ready for that. We've been meeting with that, and the manager done quite a bit of work, as a lot of people within the agencies, and Mike and Aubrey's helped out, so I think it should be a pretty good event. We also,
Where will it be?
down at the firehouse, Jefferson Firehouse?
Firehouse?
Yep. The written test for sergeant will be 30th of August in this room, and then the oral exam will be September 11th. I would also suggest, before you vote on the car wash, you might want to negotiate the municipal price of getting cars washed, so, just a thought. So, that's all I have for you.
Chief, in spite of us putting an ordinance banning fireworks in the township, I think personally this year, they were the worst I've ever seen, every night. I mean, what, can you guys do anything about that?
I didn't see, oh my.
I mean, I hear them going off every
We
night.
did not get calls on it.
People need to
Not
call
in the
us.
reports. There was no calls, we have no reports.
Anything on your, anybody else want to complain?
I heard them, but I couldn't,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, it's hard to
echolocate
locate them.
Because I know it's the Saturday after, we were in our backyard at night, but they were coming from either like, you could hear them in Bridgeport or something, so they weren't in the township, so to speak, but you could hear them, but yeah.
There was no reports, unless people just didn't call, doesn't mean it wasn't happening.
Now, I saw someone post on the Nextdoor thing that around South Montgomery Avenue, they were hearing them, but a block away is Forest, so you don't know whether that's Norristown or, a lot there. Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, they didn't get any calls for anyone being injured by them, so.
Chief, speaking of Forest, are there any parking issues down on those streets, the Forest, Montgomery, Center Ave, down on that side of the township?
No, we know now it's permitted. You have
Right.
to have a permit, and once in a while, we did get a complaint last week that an individual was having a hard time finding his parking spot, so as soon as we see that report, we make sure to remind the officers to get back out, make sure they're watching the permits, because sometimes, over a period of time, I'm sure that gets laxed, and they're not hitting that, they're doing other things, so they'll go right down, and haven't heard anything since then.
No news is good news, thank you.
Mr. Vallio?
Thank you, Mr. Smock. For the month of June, for Public Works, preventive maintenance and repair to township vehicles. For our monthly branch pickup, we collected 36 cubic yards of chips. We replenished the mulch bin again at the firehouse, at the firehouse site. We started our street line painting, painting stop bars and crosswalks. The sweeper's been out, collecting debris on the streets. We replaced 4 more storm grates along South Schuylkill Avenue, turn them into bicycle grates. Continue to mow the township grass here, clean up the weeds along Mill Road, along the creek line. We removed trees from township roads after storms. We started painting our bridges and railings, and we continue with our water basins for the invasive vegetation. And we're still repairing some of our storm sewers ahead of the paving. Paving starts tomorrow, our first phase. Milling is tomorrow. Paving will be on Thursday, and that's for Peachtree, Magnolia, and Pheasant. And then Thursday, milling operations will move to David Lane, Bird Drive, and then the bottom of Port Indian. And then they'll pave that on Friday, and then they'll be out of here for that section. We had a meeting today with, I don't want to take anything away from you, Ed, sorry. Glasgow for our second phase of paving, and that'll start at the end of the month, end of July, beginning of August. So hopefully by, second week in August, we'll be completed, and then our line, our straight line painting will be able to continue on to those roads and put the stop bars in, the crosswalks that we need. And that's all that I have.
Mike, I had a neighbor approach me, and she was practically jumping up and down, grateful about the bridge.
Oh, yeah, so I guess we could talk about that too. So the Whitehall Bridge, I guess with some persuasion, PennDOT ended up cleaning up the debris that was left there by the contractor. They did a fine job. Jason and I said absolutely not, because the first part we saw was they only opened up the one, the trough underneath the bridge, but they went back and they cleaned rest of that debris up and pulled it out of the way. So it looks good. And I would defer to Jimmy Wooders, I'm sure, right, Jim? Looks good? All right.
Were there any issues down there with this rain over the weekend?
I didn't get one phone call.
Yeah.
I mean, the river was at the top,
Yeah, yeah.
hopping over, but that's it. And
Cool.
we were okay.
While we're on the subject, Ed, do you want to give an update on Marshall and Whitehall? As the board's probably aware, that intersection has been paved. The camera system is functioning, so it's functioning the way it should be. The reasons why the handicap ramps are not open is that the pedestrian timers need to be set. Final inspection on the intersection is set for Tuesday, July 25th, which should end this saga of this intersection and make it as the way it should be, so.
And just a reminder, it's four-way, no turn on red.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Booz?
Good evening, Commissioners. June was a busy month. Issued 117 permits totaling $50,831.42. There were 90 construction inspections completed, 6 business license inspections, 1 business re-inspection, numerous complaints, and a new business that will be opening inside of Walmart. It's called Barber Zinc Barbershop. So that's my report, and the golf course is progressing. That's my report.
What kind of complaints do you get?
Anywhere from high grass and weeds, we've gotten a lot. Trash cans being left out, and people doing work without permits. So, high grass and weeds is the,
People ratting out their neighbors? Is that what goes on?
absolutely.
Anonymously, too.
Absolutely. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Stephanie, you're up.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Small. Family Movie Night is scheduled for Saturday, August 26th at Patton Park. The Super Mario Brothers movie will be showing. Showtime is approximately 7:30 p.m. Silver Circle's season ended on June 21st with a summer picnic at the Jefferson Firehouse, and it did not disappoint. Thank you to the Silver Circle Board for planning another fun-filled year for our seniors. We are already looking forward to September. A complete listing of programs and trips currently offered can be found on the Township website's Parks and Recreation page. Parks update. Regular seasonal maintenance was conducted throughout the park system. And lastly, a reminder that our discounted theme park tickets are still available for purchase here at the West Norriton Township Building during normal business hours. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Mr. Housley, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Smock. Been a busy second quarter at the golf course. In April, we did 5,108 rounds, and that generated $239,579.20. Of that, $15,712.62 was the halfway house, the paddock, our snack bar there. In the month of May, we did 6,743 rounds, and that generated $323,920.14. 28,000 of that was the food and beverage. And in June, we did 6,266 rounds, generating $315,034.71, and 33,000 of that was the food and beverage. So compared to the second quarter of 2022, where we did 17,447 rounds, this year we did 18,117 rounds. The money in the second quarter of 2022 was $767,847.08, and this year was $878,534.05. The food and beverage was roughly the same, about $75,000 for the second quarter last year and $77,000 this year for the food and beverage. The golf course has never been better. Each year it just keeps getting better and better. Rich Schilling and his staff, again, I know I sound like a broken record, but these guys are truly amazing at what they do. We're lucky to have them. And we have Club Championship qualifier starting Saturday. Donald Ross Championship comes up in August, so we're flying right along. So that concludes my report, unless you guys have any questions.
Yeah, House, hi. Good to see you as always. How are the sales going with the stuff for the Norristown Area High School?
We
co-op?
sold out in 2 days.
2 days, sold out.
I'm glad I got it then.
Yeah.
We're gonna get,
So I think we're talking about maybe another limited run in the fall
In the fall,
with some different merchandise, just to keep it fresh.
great, now I gotta spend more.
But yeah, we sold out within the first, I think by the first day, we were almost out of T-shirts and,
People were lined up 5:30 in the morning and felt like you're getting concert tickets.
I'm glad I got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm so glad to hear that. And when does the program start? It starts in the fall?
I believe Richie's been in contact with the school district. We're thinking by September, we'll have students at the course.
Yeah, I want to say second or third week of September.
Yeah, we're gonna interview them, I think, as soon as they come back, because we had kids apply at the end of this school year. And then we're gonna interview them in the beginning of the year and situate them. But like we said before, this is gonna start small. But obviously, we'll grow this as, once the new facility's on board. Just to update on the new facility, roof should be going on this week. They're waterproofing the exterior walls for stucco and all the exterior finishes, windows. So we're hoping by the end of this month, this will be a waterproof building that we'll then start working on interior. All the interior walls have been studded out, so if any of the commissioners want to take a tour, you definitely get a really good perspective of what this building is going to look like once it's done by seeing the interior walls. But it's a lot bigger than I expected it to be, which I think is going to be a good thing for us. Tomorrow, we start the process of interviewing chefs for up at the golf course. We have a really good candidate that we're excited about. So he's going to go through a little test run pressure event where he's going to cook some food for us, and we're going to eat it and see how it goes, and we're going to go from there. But but this is going to start that process, and once we get this person in place, we're going to start talking about event managers, the sous chefs and everything that's going to fall underneath this. But I think we have a really good candidate tomorrow that is really going to do us well if he really passes this test. So.
Yeah, the resume was very impressive.
And he fits in with the whole teaching component that we want to do up there. He's teaching in the Georgia culinary system. He's worked at 2 prestigious golf courses, has his own catering business, has worked in restaurants. So he's really the total package, and what I think we're looking at. Not that Mike Housley's not the total package for us, but there'll be two competing people up there now for that. So again, just exciting for us to move forward on this. But the building is really taking shape. So if any of the commissioners want to come up there anytime, we'll gladly walk you through it. I definitely think you're going to see a lot of progress up there.
Thank you. Mr. Fageniak.
Thank you, Commissioner. You have my full report on file, but just some, again, quick highlights. The 537 report that was reviewed and presented at length is out for public comment right now. To date, there have been no public comments, so that review period, that 30-day review period will be closing shortly. And next month, that is going to be ready for adoption by resolution by the board. Should you approve it, and then we will send that to DEP for their final blessing, and then you will have a current 537 plan for the township. So if there's any questions or on that one, I'd be happy to answer them, or, no, okay. Everything else in the township is running smoothly. Obviously it was a drier summer so far. Flows are down. Jason, we're bringing some of the sewer operations internally with your staff. And now is a good time for that transition, so I'm actually really excited for that. It's been 30-plus years probably since the township had its own sewer staff on staff. So we're working through that transition. And then just received revised plans for 2580 Industry Lane, so we'll have those for review in the next couple of weeks. Those are just some of the major highlights. Everything's running smoothly, and if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Smock. A few of my projects have already been discussed, so I'll just touch on a couple others. As mentioned before, though, with the golf course clubhouse, most of the work is focused on the building. The site work remaining kind of consists of a couple utility connections that still need to be made, and then obviously final paving and concrete work. The Norriton Dog Park, the MPDS permit was submitted to DEP. At this point, we're waiting for them to get back with any comments to revise the plans. The township stormwater improvements, we have been in coordination with the contractor, most likely starting towards the end of this month on the bottom of West James Street, which we are proposed to install an inlet and pipe it to the existing inlet in the back there. He's waiting on pipe at this point. There's a longer lead time for pipe right now. And then we're in communication with Marshall Elementary to try to arrange a meeting to discuss some potential improvements between their property and the Center Ave condos, to see what we can do there. So hopefully we can set up a meeting within the next week or two with them. As far as private developments go, 2580 Industry Lane, Dan Moore Tree Service Development, we received revised plans from their office, so they're currently under review. And that concludes my report.
Is the district receptive about this, this over here with Center
Well,
Ave?
they reached out to us to see, to arrange it.
Yeah, okay,
Get the process started, so I believe so.
okay. Nothing else from me, anybody? Can I get a motion to approve the reports?
No.
Or what'd I do?
Skip item A.
Oh, is that Jason? All right, Mr. Boops?
I'll make this quick. Before we get to the agenda items, one item that I've been working on with Gilmore, and we discussed last month, is the TASA grant through PennDOT, which is the Transportation Alternative Set-Aside program. And we've been approached by DVRPC and the Montgomery County Planning Commission on a project in the township. So the July 21st is the pre-application submission, and what we are doing is we're pretty much submitting our intention for the grant program. If they like our project, then we'll go to a full-blown application I'll be doing September. But the project we are submitting for are improvements to Forest Avenue between Main and West Marshall, which would include the installation of about 1,200 linear feet of sidewalk, 1,200 linear feet of 18-inch stormwater piping, a full upgrade of the signal at Forest and Main, relocation of some utility poles, and the installation of 10 stormwater inlets on that roadway. If anyone has driven down there lately or have seen it, there's no curbing, there's no sidewalk. This would, I think, help a lot of the improvement, improve some of the water flow through there, but also give the residents a better parking situation than what they currently have. The total for this project without contingencies is about 1.1 million, so it's fitting into the project scope that they're looking for. This is a 100% funded grant program. So this is money that obviously we'd like to go after. It's for low to moderate income areas. That area obviously meets that from the census blocks that we've looked at. So thanks to Ed and their survey crews and everything over at Gilmore that went out and got this work done relatively quickly, because we were approached by this in the end of May, and to get this done by last week when it was still June was a quick turnaround. So we're hopeful we can get this grant awarded and getting those improvements done in that area. The owner-occupied housing rehabilitation grant program is open. The forms are on the website. We do have hard copies at the front desk. Haven't had a lot of interest in this yet, but I think with the newsletter going out in hard copy to residents, I think that'll stir up a lot more interest in that. I have reached out to several of our churches that have, obviously with their congregations, to start spreading the word on that. Hopefully we can get some interest there. But hopefully we have $300,000 to spend on this program. So it's $10,000 grants is really what it's going to amount to, which in the grand scheme of things would do a lot in our township for our residents and, those people that are struggling with either issues with roofs, sidewalks, electrical systems, the plumbing, HVAC, the big ticket items that really are costly. We think this is something that could really make an impact. So I thank the board for entertaining the idea that came from, I believe, Commissioner Miller and Commissioner Milazzo really were championing this idea moving forward. So Mr. Value did talk about Stony Brook, so we're happy with the assistance we got from Representative Bradford's office on getting PennDOT motivated to out there to take care of the responsibilities we felt that were needed. Under new business, the first item would be a motion to adopt resolution 23-1706, granting preliminary final land development approvals with conditions to TLC for the car wash headquarters building at 1968 West Main Street. Item B would be a motion to adopt ordinance number 2023-764, prohibiting conversion therapy for minors in the township. And then item C would be a motion to accept the resignation of John Houlihan from the Arts and Cultural Commission. And then that would conclude the agenda.
Thank you, Jason. Sorry I missed you. Seems to be a habit of mine lately. Can I get a motion to approve the reports?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
They're approved. Commissioner comments. I would just like to say that I just paid my sewer bill, and I noticed that there's like a $45 or so dollar
42
court fee or whatever, but a nice discount, so just out to the residents of the community here that are paying their bill. We used COVID funds to give everyone a break on their sewer bill, so hopefully everyone will notice that. And, I'm grateful that we're able to give money back to people, help them out. To me, that $42 is nice to have, so that's it for me.
I just wanted to follow up. Thank you, Stephanie, for the report on the Silver Circle. That was very nice. Our picnic, we had about 30 people, and when we started developing this, we only had about 8 or 10 regular members. So now we're building up membership, and we're hoping to continue that over the next year with help from Commissioner Eccles, who helped plan all of last year. So we really appreciate that. That's it.
Tonight, I'd like to propose that we formalize an ad hoc committee that's already been working. It's what we like to call the West Norriton Housing Initiative. The committee is being chaired by Joan Wurzel. She's also chair of the Human Relations Commission. Let's see. Also on the committee are Dwayne Mosier, the pastor of the Ascension United Church of Christ, Mike Hayes, Executive Director of the 30% Project, Jason, Ann, and myself. We have 2 goals: to create transitional housing in West Norriton. That would mean a 24/7 shelter, long-term shelter. And to work with a builder to construct low-cost housing. We're communicating with Commissioner Ken Lawrence. He referred us to the Director of Health and Human Services, with whom we met this afternoon. We also met with the Assistant Director of Housing Development. As a result, Joan has been invited to serve on the County Homelessness Task Force. We met yesterday with a company called Pallet. They specialize in building shelter communities. We are investigating the possibility of building a shelter community in a warehouse. You can imagine that proposes big challenges, for instance, zoning and code compliance. So we will be reaching out to Alan Booz very soon. And I'm sure you'll be as excited as we are about this. We have lots to do before we can move forward. Our number 1 priority is funding. The startup to build a shelter that we envision will be anywhere from $750,000 to $1 million. The ongoing costs will be far less, so it's the startup costs that are so big. If you have any questions, you can address them to me, and Joan Wurzel, our chair, is here with us tonight also. So how do I go about, I want to,
Motion or just the board, the presidency? The president of the board can create a committee if he so chooses.
I was thinking it would be for a year, and then we could revisit it. I don't,
The board president has the power to create a committee and put a time limit on it, so that's certainly your prerogative.
Is that something that we should meet in executive session prior to?
I think they can.
Rather than
It's not
calling
an
it right
It's
now?
not an item
Okay.
for executive
Executive
session,
session.
but, I mean, you can talk about it right now. I mean, you don't need a vote on it. It can just be your blessing to start the committee.
No, I think an ad hoc committee,
Yeah, I mean,
something that
Everybody good with
have
that?
a-
I don't think any action can be taken. I think they would just be recommendations, presentations, education
All
at
right,
this
so
point.
what do
It's-
I do to approve
You
it?
can just deem it.
All right, I'll deem that as president of the board.
West Norriton
With
Housing
a,
Initiative.
with a limitation of, you wanted to do a year?
I think we should do
All
a
right,
year
a
and then
limitation of a
revisit
year.
it.
For the ad hoc committee.
Right.
All right, well, thank you for taking that on.
You're welcome.
I recently met with one of the Phoenixville council members, Beth Berkeley, who would like our HRC to meet with their HRC, and we're going to do that soon. And I believe the HRC is also working with East Norton on tomorrow. This is for?
The 20th, we're going to their meeting.
Okay, it's for a specific thing that I can't.
The first thing was to sponsor a day at the Charles Brock, is it Brockton?
The Bloxon, yeah.
Yeah,
That, yep. Anything else I'm forgetting, Joan, about the HRC? Okay. All right, that's all for me.
I didn't have anything until you said what you said about the sewer bill. My sewer bill was less than $5, so I was happy. That's it.
Nice, cool. All right, public comment.
Good evening, everyone. Jim Waters, Port Indian. Sorry I wasn't here last meeting. Lynn and I were up Cove Haven celebrating our anniversary. 31 years without an argument. We can talk about that later. But what I like about Cove Haven is their entertainment. In fact, I called Jonathan while we were up there, wondering who was going to run the banquet room, because I'd like to be involved with the entertainment. In fact, actually, they had Jay and the Americans. Now, I know probably 90% of the people in here don't remember them. But for those that do, I got goosebumps 4 times. Don't say anything. The idea that now we have Marshall Street and Whitehall Road open, that's great. You know, it was so good driving through there. It really shouldn't have taken 4 months longer. But that's because, you know, Pico and Comcast and all that. And I've been having fun with next door, filling people in. Now that the bridge is protected, this is great. Shouldn't have taken that long. And it kind of like, the next step I see is that because of what PennDOT allowed to happen, I think that they should pay for the damage to the sewer pumping station, but I really don't know how to do anything about that. But I'm thinking about it. I've been badgering the school board about the properties in Norristown that they're not paying taxes on. If anyone wants to catch the act, it's the 3rd and 4th Monday of each month. One of the things about the Marshall Street school flooding at Center Avenue is that, you know, the high school doesn't have any stormwater management on it. And the stormwater basin behind Whitehall Elementary isn't holding any water. So, you know, more of the stormwater damage is coming from Lower Providence. Kind of makes me want to go up there and see if we can reinstitute that concept back in '92 of a watershed protection. And there were supposed to be people from each township that had the Stony Creek watershed in it. And something like that should happen again. Watershed had a meeting. They're coming up with planning meetings of some of the things that they need to maintain safety on the river, water quality. You know, I think you all know that we've got the Del Val College there doing testing for almost 3 years now to develop a kind of a concept of where the pollution might be coming from, so that I get to chase it down. That's kind of it. Did I use my time up? Do I actually have more?
No,
Okay.
no.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
All right, I'll be next up. Can I do handouts?
Sure.
All right. Hello, Philip Ashley, 218 Stony Brook.
I wanted to do some handouts. I don't have enough for everybody, so can you share?
Sure.
So this,
I would direct your handouts towards the board. This is your audience.
I was just,
Yeah, thank you.
so this is the plan that you guys developed.
I've seen this thing 3 times.
We need a couple
Here.
more up here.
Just make sure Ed has a copy of it.
Yeah, so this is the plan that was originally developed to address the issues at Kepner Creek. And the areas that were highlighted in yellow were the areas that apparently were going to be addressed. Right now, as Michael said, the only area that was addressed was down by the bridge. And the second page of this, you can see the change that was done. These are from 3 different stages. The first being when it was originally reconfigured. The second one being once PennDOT came and finally did their fix. And the one down below, the third one, is from Sunday. So you can see that significant improvement, yes. I can say from standing there, water still pools there, and there are still obstructions underneath the bridge and on the other side of the bridge, where the park is. So what I then did was have to do the same.
Have you addressed any of this with East Norton? Because that's the other side's their side of the bridge.
Yeah. Oh, no, I haven't, actually. Well, I did get a call on Thursday from, need a smaller desk. You guys, okay. I did get a call.
I'll take one more.
Okay. On Thursday last week from Bradford's office, from Constituent Service, saying that he had spoken with East Norton, spoken with PennDOT, and that they're all satisfied with the work that's been done. He also said he spoke with West Norton. I don't know who he spoke with, but that West Norton was also satisfied, and that they brought out an engineer to re-examine the original plan, and no further work was going to be done. Is that correct?
Well, we wouldn't know about East Norton.
I'm sorry?
We wouldn't know about East.
No, this is
Norton.
West Norton.
Well, you said East. at
I did
first.
originally, but then I said, he also said he spoke with West Norton.
Right.
I spoke to him, but we never mentioned anything about an engineer going out and looking at it. Because Matt asked us, when he called, he asked if PennDOT did the work. We confirmed that they did the work.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. Well,
That's all that we referred them to, was just the work that PennDOT did.
okay, well, he's a constituent service guy, so maybe he was the last to know, or making stuff up or something, I don't know. Anyway, my concern was that some of this other work in this revised one, I colored in the area that was flooded, by the way, so you can all appreciate the extent to which this is needed, and that's really the footprint of the floodwaters for 2020, 2021. The areas in magenta are still needing to be done. So my question is, are they going to be done? The areas of sediment and debris that are upstream from the work that you guys did down by the bridge, are they going to be done?
So I think that's something we can revisit, but I don't have the second handout that you gave out. But the first one, this plan that we prepared did get revised in the winter after we met with the contractor. We decided to focus more near the Whitehall Bridge and kind of put those other ones on the back burner for now. So that was the plan that was executed in the spring. And then
PennDOT had to come in and do their portion on the East Norton side. So I think at this point, our stance was to monitor it, and if we need to go back and do some of those improvements, maybe we look at it then. But this plan was revised in the winter to focus more.
Okay, I didn't
on
get,
the
yeah,
white.
I didn't get a chance to see that.
Gotcha,
but-
yeah.
Okay, well, I'll forego this.
So, Ed, we can't go into the water though, right?
So
We can do anything around it, but we can't put equipment in the water. That's gonna
Can't put the
require
machinery
permit.
in the water,
Yeah, which is what we
I
did.
understood.
Yeah.
But
also,
can the-
also, there's a certain distance requirement from a bridge that that's a maintenance. It falls under maintenance and not reconstruction, so you don't need a permit. To do more extensive work in and around the stream, that's not, I forget what the.
It's
linear
50
footage is.
it's 50 feet off the bridge.
Right, right. Then you need a permit, you need to go through DEP, Conservation District, all that. So with this, we decided to focus on Whitehall so we didn't have to do that. We were able to get in and get out as fast as we could. So if we want to look at more extensive improvements further down or upstream, we could do that, but it would require permitting and all that.
Could we at least do some kind of an examination of an updated map to see, to maybe resolve some of the issues?
Yeah, I'll share
that
with you the-
residents have
We
down
could meet
there?
out in the field too, if you
Sure,
want. and,
I'd be happy to. Yeah, I'll share with you what I
More familiar with.
what I marked up. Sorry, go
Will
ahead.
the dog park process have any implication on this? My map skills are not great.
It could potentially, I know with some of the stormwater improvements, when they did the testing, that's a lot of clay up in that area, so I think we're gonna do some more extensive stormwater improvements in the parking lot with an underground basin up there, which could hold back some of those waters and with the, but these are 1 to 2 inch storms. When you get into these 5, 6, sometimes all bets are off depending on,
Sure.
I mean, we're looking at trying to manage 75 to 80% of the storms that we normally get that can do these kind of works. I mean, if not, you're looking at significant improvements up on the headwaters. I mean, you're getting Army Corps of Engineers involved. There's a lot of things that go into that we're just trying to accomplish with maintenance to not avoid the permitting process, but to do it as quick as we can.
Right, yeah, I just wanted to see, because we have the dog park process
Yeah.
is going, and I know that's connected, some of the work with respect to
Yeah,
that.
and that-
is stream work. But
Right.
it's not really necessarily near the Whitehall Bridge, it's kind of on the other side of your development.
And
Right, no,
it could come back
understood.
as improved, but they could come back with more recommendations than what we're proposing with this, through this NPDS process. So right now, we're waiting for PennDOT, DEP and the Conservation District review to come back to say, yeah, we like this, no, we want more, so.
My understanding with the dog park was that what we're doing is at least gonna improve that,
Yeah,
what we're
I mean,
doing is
the
gonna be
whole goal is to
improvement on
keep
what's
whatever
there now.
water is displaced by that parcel on the property for at least 24 hours during a storm, so.
Is Kepner the stream bank that we're gonna do restoration up with the dog park? Is that
No,
part of
that's-
Kepner, or is that a tributary?
That's the creek on the Burnside Avenue side.
Right.
Oh, okay. But they flow in together, right? Or are they separate? Yeah.
They come in together down like around Chestnut and all that, but they're separate on that area.
Okay, okay.
So that leads me to my next point, which, Jason, you mentioned Army Corps of Engineers. I'm not an engineer, but it seems to me, since so much of our work, the work that's been done so far, is to open up and unobstruct the bridge, it seems to me it makes sense that perhaps maybe upstream from our bridge at Whitehall Road, there could be some interval obstructions, so that instead of us getting 4 feet of water in my in my basement, upstream, it's slowed down, the velocity is slowed down, it pools, someone else might get wet a little bit. I might get wet a little bit, but at least we won't have something like what we had, where there was no obstruction, there was no governing of not only the volume, but the velocity and the flow of the water which came down, which stoved in every patio door in my building, except for mine. But in one of the other buildings, a 75-year-old woman was pinned against the wall by her patio door as the water was rising.
Did anyone get water on Sunday?
No, no. No, and, you know, what Michael said is absolutely correct. You know, it flowed nicely. It did not breach its banks, which is great. I don't know that it would have come up to my property. It was not that much of a significant rainfall. It was a good test, though. You know, it really did.
I mean, I think the one issue we did face with Ida and everything was, it wasn't so much that the upstream was impactful, but it was the homes along Sandra that have like a swale that run behind them. That's where a lot of the patio furniture came down, the sheds, because they were building into this swale. So I think East Norriton has been out there trying to get them to maintain that a little bit better so we can keep obstructions out of that. So, I mean, Phil's right. This is a multi-pronged approach to this. So if there's ways that we can go, we'll get Ed out there to figure out what the impacts would be. Should we need permits on those upper, issues that Phil has pointed out? And we'll certainly look into the graphic that you put together on that. So
It's a two-pronged approach. There's water coming, not getting out of our property, and too much water that's coming in. And it's not our water. It's water upstream from us. And then I guess the last handout, I have more, but I'll spare you.
Why you hand that out? Also, East Norriton has a basin right there on Sandra Lane that I've been in contact with their public works guys.
Right.
They're in the process of repairing that and cleaning that. So they're gonna make that a lot better there.
Yeah, because that's completely high and dry, pardon me. In fact, the other day I walked by there and there was a little fox sleeping in there. The last handout is just kind of the state of the state. An article in the Inquirer, I think it was 2 weeks ago, about the increased risk that not only West Norriton faces from future flood events, but the entire Delaware Valley faces. And sadly, it seems like some of the predicted rainfall is actually going to be worse than they changed the model. So I know there's money. I know you guys are able to get $1 million for a dog park. Dog park's a luxury. You have constituents who almost drowned. Every single person along the creek was out tens of thousands of dollars, not only in property loss, but in equity loss. I know it's not all West Norriton's problem, but you're my township, so I present it to you to do what you did in helping PennDOT get motivated and East Norriton get motivated to address some of this. I'm sorry? So, all right, that's it.
We'll add you, make some kind of connection with Mr. Ashley and get out on the river there, the creek, and see what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll get your contact info.
Okay,
We'll figure
cool.
something out.
Thanks so much,
All
everybody.
right, thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
I would be interested to hear what's going on with Center Avenue.
Yes, it would be.
Would you like to say something?
Anyone for public comment? No? We'll, can I get a motion to close?
So moved.
In a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public comment is closed. Mr. Bopst.
Okay, under discussion items, since we have a work session, this is just one item I just need some guidance on. I know we talked about the Commissioner's quarterly donation. We identified one, but I have not moved on to anything just because I want to confirm what that donation is going to be.
I think Commissioner Milazzo had the really good idea, and I'll let you, yeah, I think that's brilliant, in my opinion, and I would support it. If you just give us a little background, we'll give the folks.
They provide, well, we know because we did a collection for them
So
a
it's
couple
a-
years
okay,
ago, but
yep.
we'd like to give it, they provide food for people who are food, what do they call it? Food deprived.
Secure.
Food insecure, thank you. And they actually try to provide some fresh things. They have a garden where they grow from fresh vegetables and You know, so I think
Okay. So
that's a great.
Yeah, I
that's a great
absolutely
start.
support
one. So you still have your second quarter donation to make.
Yeah, we
so-
have yeah.
Can I make a suggestion?
Please, of
I know
course.
that we've given the money before, but Mitzvah Circle is going to need to be moving. And I think that if we could, you know, I'd be happy to give them money so that I know that they are going to need some funds. But that's, you know,
Do we know where they're moving?
they're in process of finding a place.
No, I was, actually, their director, Fran, reached out to me to ask, to put out the feelers with the folks who work for the township and myself, and see if I knew anyone in realty that could help. They need a bigger space. They're back on Boulevard of the Generals, and they need a bit more space. I guess it's a good problem that they have, that they're growing and having a great effect for the people they're trying to help. So they need more warehouse space. But, so anyone knows of a 20,000 square foot warehouse that has a loading dock? Holla at your boy, I mean. So, but they do great work. I would never turn down an opportunity to help those folks out either. We can knock it out tonight.
Yeah, I'm good for that, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Great job, Roseanne. Good-
So it'll be
excellent
to
suggestions.
Martha's Choice for 500 and the Mitzvah Circle for 500.
Yes, and
Okay,
that's our money. That's
That's
not
our
taxpayer
personal
money.
okay, we will get that process tomorrow. Under new business, item A would be a motion to adopt resolution 23-1706, granting preliminary final land development approvals with conditions to TLC for the property at 1956, 1968 West Main Street.
So moved.
Is there a second? Any questions or comments?
No, thank you for providing the SOP, and we look forward to enhancing it as needed.
Any additional questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item B is a motion to adopt ordinance number 2023-764 prohibiting conversion therapy for minors in the township.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item C would be a motion to accept the resignation of John Houlihan from the Arts and Cultural Commission.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And that concludes the agenda.
Any meeting dates?
Yeah, well, I think we forgot to put those on the agenda,
I
so.
did.
I'm sorry. We can,
No
we'll-
EAC this month.
There's no EAC.
That's-
HRC meets normal time,
The fourth Thursday.
and there's a planning commission, the 17th, yes. And there will be no work session for the month of August, as we will be holding National Night Out at the Firehouse site, starting at 5:30? 6 to 8 o'clock at the firehouse. So hopefully, the firehouse will have their new piece of apparatus there by this point, but we're keeping our fingers crossed, so that concludes the agenda.
Okay. Could I get a motion to close out the meeting? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night, everyone.
Jason, maybe we should try and set up a time for the meeting with the Center Avenue people.